Like the kind of the doghouse.
So at the end of last week, it was announced that the Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk undisputed fight was going to be postponed due to Fury getting a cut. Now the fight was supposed to take place in about 2 to 3 weeks on February the 17th, and now they're saying that it's probably going to take place about May the 18th, which personally, this whole situation with Fury and Usyk, Fury and AJ, I am at this point very bored of the heavyweight division. I think this is, people are going to say talent-wise maybe it's not the case, but honestly, I believe that the heavyweight division is the worst division in boxing at the moment. There are little to no real mega fights actually taking place. I know we may get Fury and Usyk, but at the moment, Fury is extremely unreliable. We all know this. He says one thing and nothing happens. You can't believe what Tyson Fury says. Alexander Usyk's pretty reliable. He's never really pulled out a fight that he was supposed to be in. He's very much, I think as Eddie Hearn said, his team, they're very easy to make fights with. So I don't really think Usyk would ever pull out this fight unless it was something crazy. But from Fury's point of view, don't get me wrong, the cut did look bad, and I'm not going to say he meant to do it, but I'm not also ruling it out because you don't know with Fury. But ultimately, this whole situation is exactly my issue with the heavyweight division. It feels as if this division has been stagnating for years, going back to when Anthony Joshua fought Andy Ruiz, and he should have fought Deontay Wilder, so many fights before that or at that specific time, and he didn't. And I'm not saying it's Wilder's fault or Joshua's fault. Ultimately, I think boxing is the problem here a lot of the time when these fights don't get made, the politics. But to me, I just look at the division then stalled, and then Fury came back. He had the fight with Wilder, and we were supposed to get that fight immediately after. It was supposed to be Fury Wilder 2 immediately after the first fight. But if you remember, Fury, Bob Arum, ESPN, they decided to go a different route and get Fury's name bigger in the States and kind of build it a bit more. And in that time, Wilder was knocking out people like Dominic Brazil. He was knocking out what's the other one? Luis Ortiz for the second time. So it was very much another wait. And then we got the fight with Fury and Wilder, and it was great. And then we were supposed to get the third fight, but then Fury decided, no, we're going to fight Joshua instead. And we thought we were going to get the undisputed fight, Joshua versus Fury. We looked like it was going to happen, and guess what? That fight didn't happen because Wilder triggered the whole arbitration thing, and then we got Fury Wilder 3. Every single time there seems to be some momentum in the heavyweight division, it gets flattened, and I don't know if this division is just cursed at the moment, but I just don't really have much excitement from the heavyweight division, to be honest. Honestly, I'm actually more excited for Joshua and Ngannou than I am for probably most of these heavyweight fights, simply because I like the intrigue around that fight, and I feel like there's a good chance one of these two is going to sleep. And I feel after the way Ngannou performed against Fury, definitely a lot of signs that Ngannou maybe could be an interesting wild card in this heavyweight division. But to be honest, that's the only real excitement I think most people have, because after Fury's performance in his last fight was poor. Even though Usyk did well and he did brilliantly against Dubois, there's still the debate about if he got dropped with the body shot or if it was a low blow. I just think that this division is just in a horrible place, and I feel if you look at it compared to other divisions in boxing, if you look at it, at welterweight we got to see Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. At lightweight we got to see Devin Haney and Lomachenko. We also got to see Tank against Ryan Garcia. At 140, we got to see Teofimo Lopez against Josh Taylor. If you look at, I don't know if it's really going to happen, but some of these fights are like heavyweight, and the big fight with Bivol and Beterbiev seems to be in the works. And then if you also look, we've got Canelo against Dimitri Bivol. At super middleweight, we have some big fights. We had Benavidez versus Plant not long ago. And obviously Canelo versus Plant and all the other guys he fights. And then even if you then go to some of the other divisions, you look at Inoue versus Fulton. And then I think after that, most divisions are getting these big fights on. There aren't many fights getting done in the heavyweight division, though, because again, it's to me it's a division full of egos, and I think this is the problem. There's too many big names in that division, and I don't think at this point we're probably going to get many big fights in the heavyweight division, because I feel as if a lot of these guys are getting on a bit. From Fury's point of view, I don't think he did it on purpose, but it wouldn't put it past him to have this type of thing so he can delay the fight. Will he ever fight Usyk? I don't know, but I do find some divine comedy in the fact that Fury criticised David Haye for the same thing. Don't get me wrong, Hayes was a lot softer. Fury's cut is bad, and it's also very deep, but I'll be honest, he went at David Haye for pulling out the fight because of the same reason. This shows you, in boxing, these things can catch up to you. You know, Fury criticised Andy Ruiz, or criticised Anthony Joshua for losing to Andy Ruiz, saying that he lost to a fat Mexican, but he almost got knocked out by an MMA fighter. You know, Fury claimed that you know, a lot of these guys ain't anything special, but yeah, you got Joshua making easy work of Otto Wallin, whilst Fury went life and death with him. You know, you got Fury claiming that Deontay Wilder is this crazy man who nobody's going to beat, and Joseph Parker, who lost to Joshua, who lost to Dylan White, who lost to a lot of people, lost to Joe Joyce. Joseph Parker stuck it on him and I won't say dominated him, but just comfortably beat him in that fight. You know, everything he's saying is kind of going up a little bit, and I do think he's declining Fury. This is why at the moment I do still feel like Usyk will beat him, but I don't know, this division's just boring at the moment, and I don't really have much hope for it. I do have hope for 140, 135, even though Crawford I think will probably be going up in weight. I have hope for 147 with Boots Ennis in there. And yeah, there isn't really much. I look at the heavyweight division, there's no real hope I have for it, and there's some good fights coming up, don't get twisted, but I just don't feel there's really that much buzz. I do think Joshua and Ngannou is probably the fight I'm most looking forward to, just because I'm don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to Fury Usyk if it happens, but I just feel like a lot of the air's been almost pumped out of this division, and it's slowly starting to deflate, and I feel as if this division needs something to make it light up again, whether it's a Francis Ngannou, whether it's a big fight, just something. When Joshua fought Klitschko, it kind of lit the division on fire, and now everybody was excited. No matter what Tyson Fury did to Klitschko, ultimately I always maintain, I think Anthony Joshua was the reason that this division kind of lit fire, and then Fury and Wilder, they took it on as well, so I think people tend to forget that Joshua is a big part of the division, and I think if he can continue what he did against Otto Wallin and continue it against Francis Ngannou and continue it in his career, then yes, you've got a real... Possibly Anthony Joshua could do something there, but I really don't have much hope. Wilder, I think, is declining as well. I think if Usyk beats Fury, I think he retires. I don't see what more he could do. I don't see him sticking around to fight all these other guys. I just feel like that would be his moment, and I don't think, what else would you need to prove in the sport, especially in your late 30s? I think Usyk would have done everything, so I don't see much of what Usyk could do, to be honest. And I think if Fury beats Usyk, I think if the Joshua fights there, he fights him. If not, again, Fury might retire, but I do think Fury is one of those who does need boxing. And with Deontay Wilder, I would want to say retire, but I don't know. Because of the way Wilder fights, he was never the most skilled heavyweight in the world, and he was never the most technically gifted, fundamentally sound. He was always very wild, and I feel like as long as that power is there and that speed is there, because I don't think the speed or power was the issue against Parker. I just think it was the application. He didn't look like he really wanted to knock Parker out. He was just waiting and waiting too long, and this is why I'm not a fan of fighters who take rounds off or just take their time in fights and sort of plod along, because eventually them rounds are going to rack up. But yeah, this division is just poor, and I'm bored of it now. If I compare it to the heavyweight division in the UFC, it's quite similar, but you have Tom Aspinall, who's kind of lit it on fire now. Everybody's excited to see what he will do, as well as John Jones, the GOAT, who's still there. There's still something to kind of look to, but in boxing, honestly, it's the one division. I feel like when people say boxing is down, they always look at the heavyweight division, but honestly, boxing is alive at the moment. You just got to know about the sport, to be honest, because I feel a lot of people who've claimed boxing is dying, a lot of MMA fans who don't really know the full picture of the sport. Don't get it twisted. There is a lot of issues in boxing. There's a lot wrong in boxing, but I think this division's doing just fine. This sport is doing just fine. But this division is boring, and I'm bored of it at the moment. And just my thoughts, though, on this Fury's pull out against Usyk. May 18th, I think, is what the rumored date is. And if that does happen, great. But I have no hope for it. I don't know if this fight will happen. But I hope it will, because it is one of the biggest fights in boxing. But I just have no hope. But yeah, just my thoughts on the whole news, this whole heavyweight division. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, until next time.